Man, I'm so sick of SUVs and crossover taking over the world, and that comes to Volvo now as well. They released the very dark, sort of mystical images of the new XC70, but I've tweaked them a little bit with the contrast and the shading and so on to make them brighter so we can actually see what the new XC70 looks like. And as you can tell from these images right here, it is not a lifted wagon anymore. I mean, I don't understand. We have the XC60, we have the XC90. Do we really need another SUV to sit between those? This is supposed to be a little bit bigger than the XC60, a little bit smaller, of course, than the XC90. But, I mean, it would have been so much better to have this still be a lifted, V90 or something like that and call it an XC70. Would you still have the V90 Cross Country, which is a great looking vehicle? This is not bad looking. It still has a lot of, to me, Polestar design to it. We're going to have a look at this design. It's not going to be a very long video here because we don't really have a lot of information about this yet. But I just want to make this video to, vent a little bit and share my thoughts on why are everything becoming SUVs. So let's check out this article from Car Scoops. Gonna link it down below. Volvo XC70. This is not an XC70 to me. This is an XC SUV. It returns, but not how you remembered it. Pricing and availability details for the Volvo's newest crossover have yet to be announced. So here they say it's slightly larger and more spacious compared to the XC60 model. The cool thing, though, which I think is really nice, is that they say that you get 124 miles of electric power alone, and this is a plug-in hybrid. So you get a lot of electric range with this. It looks like an EV to me. Not so sure about the front end styling here with these hockey sticks sticking out on the side, connecting kind of strangely and harshly to the main grille that is here in the middle. And then of course you have the covered up grille up top. It looks very product designy, and Volvo is definitely heading that way. And another thing that we have here is, of course, Volvo jumping on the trend to have bumper headlights. We have the main headlights situated down here now, and then we have the Thor's hammer being the daytime running lights up top. So Volvo is reviving a familiar name, one that was discontinued back in 2016 when the off-road variant of the V70 wagon, the XC70, was retired. However, this time around, it is not a chunky wagon, but it is in fact an SUV. So Volvo calls the XC70 its first extended range plug-in hybrid. That's a bit of a technicality. So they say about 124 miles of electric power, but that is on the CLTC testing cycle, which I assume is a very optimistic cycle. So you can expect the real world range to be a little bit less than that. 124, I mean, even if you get 100 miles with this plug-in hybrid, you're probably very rarely going to fire up the internal combustion engine if you need that. Probably on road trips and stuff like that. Just going around town, you're probably just going to use the EV mode. So it will be built on Volvo's scalable modular architecture, SMA, which supports fast charging capabilities. Not much more to share for now. Volvo says that this model continues the legacy of being a versatile family car that's ready for all kinds of adventures, even if it's trading its wagon body for an SUV. It is slightly larger and more spacious than the XC60 and incorporates design elements from other Volvo models, including the all-electric EX90 and the more traditional XC90, which, by the way, I have parked right there on my driveway, and it looks fantastic in a burgundy color. I just got it today. I have it for a week, and I look forward to driving that and reviewing that on the Sketch Monkey channel if you want to check out that review later on. So up top, we do have the new XC70 right here. This is what we want to see. This is an XC70 to me. I don't think they should have called this an XC70. They should have called it something else, because this is now tainting the legacy of this beauty right here. I actually prefer the second generation XC70. The first one was pretty cool as well, a little bit too tame. It still looks like a regular V70. Then the second generation XC70, that's where they really nailed everything. I actually really want to find one. They're very cheap, And I just love the interior as well. Everything reminds me of my childhood when I step into a Volvo of this era. It's just a beautiful vehicle. Volvo's familiar Thor's hammer LEDs and the large blacked out grille with active shutters. It appears to have a slightly sleeker profile than the larger XC90, which is to be expected, of course, as a smaller vehicle, with a more steeply raked rear window and includes C-shaped taillights integrated into the rear glass. The XC70 marks a strategic entry into the extended range plug-in hybrid segment, a perfect bridge to full electrification, says the president of Volvo. So here we can see the photos here. I have them in Photoshop, of course, as well. But let's check them out here real quick. So we have, of course, the typical Volvo design for the taillights. Everything is very, very chiseled here, as you can see. Here you have the plug-in port on the, it looks like the driver's side, XC70 down here logo, and very nice LEDs. So these look like high-quality LEDs, meaning that there's no fade in any of the area of the LED. Everything is lit up at the same strength across the entire bar, if that makes sense. Sometimes you see on lower quality vehicles, you see LEDs and it has this fade. You can have an LED light, but it doesn't have the same brightness across the entire bar. Here it definitely looks like everything is solid as it should be. And again, looking at the front end, you can see just how dark the images are here. So we're going to jump into Photoshop here and dissect this design.
Have you ever wondered what it would be like to pick up any pen and be able to sketch out and visualize your idea exactly like you want it on paper? Over the years, I've taught thousands of students from all over the world how to sketch cars and products using my simple sketching technique I call cloud sketching. So now my full 11-hour online course, Analog Designer Pro Pack, is the full bundle of all my classes I've released over the years, and it's yours for just $47. Check out everything that's included and see what my students have to say in the link in the description, or visit analogdesignerpropack.com.
The front end design, I mean, clearly, of course, recognizable as a Volvo. Nothing out of the ordinary. It's pretty much exactly what we expected the XC70. I mean, the next Volvo SUV to look like, not the XC70, because I was expecting it to be a lifted wagon. But you can see just how chiseled everything is. And we also have the big Thor's hammer here, creating a very strong brand identity. I mean, if you look at this at night and you see these lights, you know exactly what type of vehicle brand this is. But the thing I'm not a huge fan of are the integration of the headlights, which now sit all the way down here in a bumper headlight design, and how this black piece crashes into this area here without having a nice connection to it. That is not very Volvo-like to me. Usually I want to see a lot of nice line flow in Volvos, and this does not really have that. Everything looks very chiseled. You can see these pieces up top on the hood here as well. It's very industrial and definitely more product designy than automotive design. It doesn't mean that it's a bad looking vehicle, but I want to bring back more emotion in car design. I've said it, I mean, 1,000 times before, that I want to have big volumes that are shaped in an organic way, in combination with a couple of sharp key lines. Here, everything is very static. We do have the sharp lines here, of course, but we don't have these organic vibes that I'm looking for in car design. And that is always, to me, what separated car design from product design. And I think this is more of a product design. You can see the very interesting design here of the side mirrors as well. Look at how they sit connected to this arm that goes into the door. I don't think I've ever seen a connection like this for a side mirror. Not sure why they made it like that. It doesn't look bad, it just does look very unique. Now looking at the side view here, I don't know, I mean, yeah, it's definitely not a wagon anymore, even though it sits pretty low here, and we do have a lower roofline as well. Looks very sporty with the roofline going into this spoiler that sends it off in a nice way. But this is an area right here. You see this cutout here? Just a rectangle. It's just a simple rectangle like this. Doesn't have any sort of flow to it. I want to see a line like this goes in and creates, you know, this typical Volvo line down here, and then have a connection in the rear bumper. But now everything is just straight horizontal, vertical lines, and a little dip here in the middle, and that is what we get for Volvo design these days. Again, it's not a bad looking design, but it just lacks the automotive feel that I want to see for Volvo. We have a nice looking greenhouse here. Volvo always has this design here with a bit of an upswing for the greenhouse in the very end, and then it dips down in this area up top as well. We have a nice A-pillar that goes, the angle of the A-pillar is pretty cool. It definitely does not have this EV proportions to it. It's not a full EV, it is a plug-in hybrid, so you still have an internal combustion engine sitting underneath the hood in the front end. The proportions look great. The proportions are spot on. I just wish we had more fluid lines in this. Looking at the wheel design here, not sure if I'm a huge fan of these wheels. These look like every other EV wheels today with some ribs on it and pretty much covered up the entire brake disc. I want to see the brake disc behind the spokes of the wheels, specifically when the car is rolling. It just looks very, very nice. I doubt you will be able to see any of the brake disc when this car is in motion. I would probably switch those wheels out. The ground clearance look to be SUV ground clearance here, probably around 8 or 7 inches, something like that, maybe up to 9. Last but not least, looking at the rear end, this is probably I don't know if I like this new design for the front end of Volvos because it feels to me that like it lacks personality. Not sure how I can explain it there. So I definitely prefer the rear end in this case, even though everything here is, again, very, very horizontal, very vertical as well with the taillights. But the taillights, again, Volvo having extremely strong brand identity both in the front and in the rear when it comes to the graphics. I'm not sure what it says here. Maybe it says something in Chinese, I do believe. We have the XC70 right there, and we have this cutout in the lower section for the license plate that goes into the trunk, or the opening for the trunk right here. And we have the spoiler up top. Thankfully, the wiper is hidden underneath here probably, or right here, probably just comes down when you're using it. I like that because the overall design of the rear end is so clean that we don't want to have a wiper, you know, sitting down there and ruining this clean design that we have for the Volvo XC70. All the way down low, we don't have any visible exhaust pipes. I would expect that for Volvo, since they're focusing on plug-in hybrids and EVs mostly. They want to move away from internal combustion engine versions for their vehicles. Let me know what you think of this. We're going to learn more about this vehicle, the spec and tech, when it's officially fully unveiled. I'm not sure when that's going to happen, but when it comes to the design, I don't know. I'm disappointed with this. I was hoping we could have a XC70, but I knew Volvo said that they're going to completely stop building wagons altogether and replace them, all of them, with SUVs in the future, which is a very, very sad thought, to think about, because Volvo to me has always been the king of wagons, but I guess not anymore.